Alright guys, today Dokkan has dropped details for the entire Ginyu Force EZA'ing the Dokkanfest AGL Captain Ginyu, and both these side banner Ginyu Force units are going to be EZA'ing very soon. I was really curious to see who will EZA with Tao, and this is who they decided to go with. I'm also really happy they decided not to just EZA Ginyu, but both the Goldo and Raccoon and Berta and Jace units as well, rather than just Ginyu solo. So I'm very interested to see how they've handled these. I wonder if these units EZA'ing have anything to do with the lead up to the Dokkan global campaign being in some shape or form, which a lot of people have been wanting. A Super Saiyan Goku and Frieza. We'll have to see. So in base, Ginyu starting with 200% attack and defense, will launch an additional attack. There's a 50% chance to become a super attack. Usually it's 70, but I'm okay with 50. 20% damage reduction. Ginyu Force category allies key +1 attack and defense of 60%, and a chance to crit of 20% as well. Very nice support. When attacking with 12 or more key, 150 attack and defense. Then with per Ginyu Force category ally on the team, 20% attack and defense, up to 100%. When there is another Ginyu Force category ally on the team, attacks are effective against all types, 50% chance of an additional super attack, which those additionals really do help, because of course Ginyu does stack. Then also for one turn from the character's entry, or when HP is 70% or more at the start of turn, he'll have a chance to crit and 30% damage reduction. So that means early on, while he's at his most vulnerable, he will have 50% damage reduction. So in slot 2, especially with support as well, with a couple stacks, he should be good. Although I don't know how far that 20% damage reduction is really going to be taking Ginyu just relying on stacks, especially when he doesn't have a guaranteed one in there at all, or even a 70% chance. They're both 50. So I feel like if you get really unlucky with the stacks in base, Ginyu may get caught here and there. Now, one thing this unit has always been is heavily reliant and dependent and focused around Ginyu Force units, which for the most part, the support, fantastic. In terms of per Ginyu Force category ally, I mean, you've already got 2 with the 2 side EZAs, which is good. You still need 3 more though. And there is the LR Ginyu Force unit, which outside of that, I'm pretty sure the other Ginyu Force units have aged quite a bit. So getting that full 100%, unless you run dual Ginyus and miss out on the 220 lead meta, then sure, you can kind of have a workaround and maybe have 1 or 2 units that aren't Ginyu Force. If you don't, you're missing out on a bit of attack and defense, I'm not going to lie. Other than that, the Ginyu Force conditions, like having a Ginyu Force category ally on the team, easy, because you've got 2 side EZAs to go with Ginyu. But other than that, I don't really mind. I actually quite like this kit. I said I don't know if this 20% damage reduction alone will be enough, especially if you're getting poor RNG when it comes to both these 50% chance of an additional super. And as always, on super attack, he does raise defense, and then he'll raise attack for 1 turn as well. So this should be 30%, and this would also be 30%. I'm not going to lie, it would have been nice if this was raised to 50. Again, especially with no guaranteed additional super, it would have been nice if this was buffed up to 50% so he could stack quicker. You know, they did it with Kale and Cleaver and they stack both. And they have dodge chance. They can have 90% dodge chance for 4 turns as well. So it kind of feels like they held back with Ginyu a little bit. Maybe it's because of the support he also gives out as well, whereas Kale and Cleaver doesn't give support until you hit certain conditions, whereas Ginyu's is big and always for Ginyu Force units. And then you have 2 side banner units and one of them is a support unit. Maybe that's why they kind of held back a little bit, but I definitely feel like they probably should have took a page out of Kale and Cleaver's book. But that is in base. He still looks solid, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he's bad, but I feel like compared to Kale and Cleaver, they did hold back. So Ginyu will recover 59% HP, start with key +1, attack on defense of 250%. Launch an additional attack, there's a 70% chance to become a super attack. Attacks are effective against all types. And that 50% damage reduction he has is now guaranteed. That is permanent base damage reduction. No extra conditions, no HP condition. Ginyu now after the body swap has 50% damage reduction. Now, depending on where you can get his defense, this is really nice. Especially because he's always going to be in slot 2. When attacking, gets 150 attack, chance to crit of 50%, 70% chance of an additional super. And then when receiving an attack, 150 defense and 50% chance to dodge. So 50% damage reduction, 50% chance to dodge. That's really nice. The body swap really does ramp up with how good they are. Or how good he is. And then when there's an ally whose name includes Jace on the team, also has the enemy scouter. I'm not gonna lie. This form, the body switch, the transformation, the active skill, very, very good. You've got a HP recovery. You've now got 70% chance of an additional super. Remember, he still stacks, just attack now. Gonna have some good damage output, especially with the built-in crit. Also, not only that, has dodge to go with the damage reduction, good defensive utility, and of course, one of the most important things you can have in Dokkan as an ability, having an enemy scouter. The only thing I think from base that the body swap loses that would have been huge is the Ginyu Force support. But at this point, you're going for more damage than more defense and team coverage. That's the only thing that is missing from this that I really would have liked to carry over, but it's fine and it makes sense why it doesn't. But this is a big step up. A big step up from base. I said base looks solid. I just think they could have made base Ginyu a bit better, in my opinion. But body swap Ginyu, he's looking juicy. And then on super attack, he greatly raises attack, which of course is a stack. So basically everything that I kind of wanted for base, they're doing it once you transform, which is the stack is 50%. Remember, he doesn't get any defense for the turn. So you will need to pad him out quite a bit before you do the active skill. But this is where you want more damage. But you got the 70% chance of an additional super here. You got the full damage reduction of 50%, 50% chance to dodge, and you're stacking by 50% attack every time Ginyu supers. He looks really good, and I really hope the sidebanner units are kind of near that level, because of course you want to run them all together. So first up, we have Jace from Space Australia and Better. So at the start of turn, they do have 200% attack and defense. Launch an additional attack, there's a 50% chance to become a super attack, 70% chance to dodge, Space Traveling Warriors or Special Pose category allies key +3, and 40% attack and defense, which of course both Raccoon and Goldo and also the EZA Ginyu will benefit from. Not to mention, in one rotation, you could have the Space Traveling Warriors or Special Pose support combined with pre-body swap base Ginyu's Ginyu Force support, which takes you up to a full 100% attack and defense support. Then for every attack performed, Jace and Berta get 50% attack and defense up to 200%, which with that built-in additional will take no time at all to fully build up to 200. Then receiving a super attack, they do have an extra 10% chance to dodge, which takes them up to 80% chance to dodge. If you only just have dupes in these guys, I'd probably just go a ton of dodge and maybe a little bit of additional. Really capitalize on dodge. Then when there's an ally whose name includes Ginyu attacking in the same turn, they get a chance to evade enemies' attack by 10% again within the turn before receiving an attack. So this is looking to me like Dokkan wants you to take the risk to slide into slot 1. Which I'm not gonna lie, with 90% dodge chance, not a bad idea. But let's not forget how RNG works. There is a 10% chance, very small chance, but there is still a chance that Jace and Berta do not dodge. They get hit with a super attack, maybe even just a big boy normal from one of the heavy hitting enemies in the game, and you are almost dead, and then if it's super attack, you are dead. But 90% dodge chance in slot 1 with an extra all allies 30% attack and defense for 2 turns as well. So that means Ginyu himself will be getting key +3, 70% attack and defense. And this is for 2 turns as well. So that will follow into the next rotation as well, which is great. And that means whoever the third unit is, especially if they belong to the Ginyu Force, like for example, LR Ginyu and Ginyu Force, they'll be getting the full support. So say for example, you lined it up with Jace and Berta in slot 1, one of the Ginyu units in slot 2, and the LR in slot 3, or vice versa. With that Ginyu Force support from EZA Ginyu, that's 60% attack and defense. That's 40 from here and 30 from here. That's 130% attack and defense that LR Ginyu would be getting, which is actually just kind of crazy. if you decided to run dual Ginyus for whatever reason, which is not a bad shout with the, you know, Ginyu Force conditions, that is a total of 160% attack and defense, which is just wild to me. Wild. No, tell a lie. Dual Ginyus is 60. I mean, yeah, that means Jason Berta themselves will be getting a ton of attack and defense as well. I mean, the support is looking... It's looking good. Let me just put it that way. It's looking good. Attack and defense by 30% for 1 turn. Cause stream damage to the enemy and raise allies' attack and defense by 20% for 1 turn. I can't lie. The amount of support they've given Jason Berta is actually crazy. So that's even more attack and defense you're giving out to EZA Ginyu or LR Ginyu and Ginyu Force. That's crazy. Honestly, with that amount of support and 90% dodge chance and going full dodge in the potential system, it honestly just might be worth putting them in slot 1 and taking the risk. And then just firming it if they do die. Because I said, that's a lot of support they'll be giving out. So next we have Raccoon! And we have Goldo. We have the middle child of the Ginyu Force. So what are they doing? Because Jason Berta look crazy. So 200% attack and defense, 30% damage reduction, 70% chance of guarding all attacks. I'm pretty sure if Ginyu's there, they have guaranteed guard. Steals the attacked enemy super attack. After guard is activated, 100% defense, launches an additional attack. That has a 50% chance to become a super attack. Then when attacking with 12 or more ki, 50% attack and defense. Then for every attack received, 20% attack and defense up to 100%. And then when there's an ally whose name includes Ginyu attacking in the same turn, guaranteed guard. 30% damage reduction before attacking, stuns the attacked enemy. The only problem is Jason Berta clash with Raccoon and Goldo. Because the idea is they get extra buffs before they attack. And then to fully take advantage of all of their support, especially the SA effect support on super attack, you kind of want them to go in slot 1. To give them the full 90% dodge chance, you want them to go in slot 1. For these guys to have the 30% damage reduction, it needs to be before they attack. So slot 1. That means in slot 1, they will have guaranteed guard, 60% damage reduction, and then once they're fully brought up for every attack received, that's an extra 100% attack and defense as well, along with an extra 100% defense for having guard active, and then the Jason Berta support if they're in slot 3 on the same rotation, and then of course Ginyu Force's support pre-active skill. Unless you have one on one rotation and then one on the other. But then unless you're running dual Ginyus, you miss out on Jace's and Berta's support with one of the Ginyus on the opposite rotation. Or if you are only running one, then you kind of want them all together every other turn with Jason Berta being in slot 3. I think that is probably the only downside, is to fully have the potential of both support units. They need to go in slot 1, but you kind of want them all on the same rotation to really maximize the links, the support, you know, have one of them in slot 1, but both support units, or both side units, shall I say, need to be in slot 1 to like fully get their potential. That's the only downside, is that part clashes. Other than that, these EZAs are great and they work so well together. As a collective, they provide so much to the team. And of course, especially the Ginyu Force category. But I like these a lot. I actually really like these EZAs. They are great. And then what we're doing on super attack. Greatly raise attack and defense by 50% for 1 turn. Cause stream damage to the enemy. Greatly lower attack and defense. They look really good. They look really, really good. I'm not sure how far that damage reduction and guard will get you in the current meta when it comes to having Raccoon and Goldo in slot 1. That's something to have to test in game. I think base Ginyu could have been a bit better, but overall Ginyu's EZA looks great, looks fantastic. Jason Berta's support is probably the best we have in the entire game, especially coupled with Ginyu. And as a collective, as I said, they are crazy good together on one given team, which makes me believe that we're going to have some type of Namek celebration, even if only half, for this Dokkan global campaign that we're going to be getting in July. Who knows? Who knows? Because Namek still needs a bit of help anyway, so it would make sense. But overall, these EZAs are fantastic. As the only downside is the 2 side banner units do clash for slot 1, but you don't need to have Jason Barter in slot 1. But it would be nice, and they do clash. Other than that, as I said, they are all fantastic. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care, have a great day, and peace.